Hello everyone. Today I'm going to teach you about the variables and data types in Python. And the first step that I want to teach you is that variable. So what's a variable? Variable is basically a container where you put values inside of it. Now I have created a variable which is basically a container. Inside of this container, I can store anything, and these are the data types. Now, by anything, what I mean is I can store a value such as 10, which is integer in Python. Now, let's store 10, and then I can print this. The print function is used to display the output. So, let's say if I put print variable. Now, if I run this code, we can see that the 10 is being printed. Now again, if I put a different value to variable such as 20 and then run it, what do you think is gonna happen? So 20 came because the variable in here is different. Why? Because the address of the values are different. Now remember this, whenever you put a value in Python such as 10, 20 inside of a variable, that value will have a specific address, and for here the variable is basically a tag that attaches to that address or value. Now firstly the 10, if I inputted the value which is 10, and for that 10 the value variable attached to it. Now again I inserted a new value, meaning a new address, and then the variable that was attached to 10 now attaches itself to 20. Now what happens to this value then? It must be your question. So this value is taken by the garbage collector, meaning that it is deleted, or should I say disposed of, using the garbage collector. So now we get the idea. Similarly, if I attach a new uh, value to this variable, we can see, and if I run this, obviously it's going to print 30 as the output, not 20, 10, because now they are disposed of by using the garbage collector. Now Okay, now let's go on to the different data types that we can input inside of a variable. Now, uh, before going into that, I would like to also describe that there are different rules that uh, makes it possible to create or variables as well. For example, I cannot start a variable with a numerical number such as this, because right now I've tried to create a new variable, and you can see that I try to input a value of 10, and then if I run, I'm gonna get an error, or it will not show. So why didn't show? Because the variable had an error, that is that it cannot be started with integer. Similarly, there are some other rules as well, such as, let's say if I want to try to start it with a special character. As you can see, it's showing red, meaning that it won't work. Or so let's say has now this it completely turns it into a comet. We'll get into that in the later videos, but what it basically does is that it gives you access to write anything inside of your code, anything human, that so that that particular part which is hash does not affect the code's logic. Okay, so okay, now let's get into some of the types. So first type is integer. Integer means any numerical value, but not decimals ones. So it only means the whole numbers from 1 to I don't know how much you can go. But yeah, now what is float? We can also see that we have used type here. And what this type does is that it shows what this integer variable is storing. For example, here 10, which is an integer, we are storing it inside of this variable named integer, and we are trying to print the type in order to find out what we have stored in 10. Now, if we look at the output, the first one is integer. So this is an integer. Similarly, now let's go with the float. What is a float? Float means all of the decimals numbers that can be stored there. Now, if we look at it, we can see that float stores 1.2, meaning the value is float. Similarly, let's go with a string. So a string stores string obviously. So what are strings? Strings means the ones that you want to display, the letters, the writings. For example, hello world, how are you? Please enter the number, enter the characters, what is your name? Any kind of prompt that you ask from the users usually use string, such as mm, enter the character, enter your password, similar to that. Now, and we also use type here to print the type that is. Now we can use, so here's the thing, we can use different named variables. I'm showing this here, so it might get confusing as well a little bit. I'm sorry, I should have tried to use different variables, but whatever. Now boolean means true false, where false is 0 and true is 1. And similarly we can see that it's a boolean. We can use it in different conditional situations. Now a set. What is a set? So set is basically a list of different types of unique data, such as we are storing float here. If you look at it, we are also storing integer, we are also storing string. So all of these three types of data types inside of one whole set, and we can also modify this data up to a certain extent in set. And similarly, you can see that it uses curly brackets to store, unlike others such as where in order to store a string we need to use dots, double dots. And similarly, mm, for integer we don't need to use anything. For set we need to use curly brackets. We can also use double quotes for strings such as string, but obviously this will not read because this and this are uh, or it does read. I might have done the mistake here. Okay, so it does read it. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Anyway, the thing is, there are two types of string here. So we can also use double quotes or single quotes. Both are same, meaning like if I print, mm, I'm sorry, not here. Let's say I give comma. Mm, Now let's run it. We can see string and string, but there are no gaps here. And for that gaps, we can use comma. And if I save it and then I run it, we can see that there is a gap and parentheses are also added. And now we can also see that the value has completely changed. For example, before it was uh, what's it called, a string, but now it has completely changed into a tuple because we're inside of a parenthesis. So the Python automatically puts parentheses if nothing is given there. And we added comma as well, which is really similar to the tuple. Now what is tuple? I will get into that later in a bit. Now okay, so string is basically completed, and we can, for now you understand that string, we can use both single quotes and double quotes to create string. Now let's go to dictionary. Now dictionary is kind of like a real dictionary where there is the word that you want and the meaning, kind of like. So for example, the what is your name, and you can enter your first name. What is your age, and you can use your age in here. Similarly, this is a unique data type in Python. If we look at it, it will be dictated as dict. And if we move on to tuple, now this is known as an immutable data type. Why? Because the values that are here, it can never be changed later on, or it cannot be modified. So that's why it's known as tuple. Now range basically means the range from certain starting point to the end, which is, for in example here, it goes from, so the range is 5, meaning that it will go from 0 to 5. Now if I print it, we can also see the value. I'm sorry, I need to put in the name of the variable. I don't know, I might be drunk. Okay. Okay, now we can see the range goes from 0 to 5. And similarly, let's go into list. List is basically a tuple, but here we can actually modify the value, and we can also print according to a certain, uh, we can print or use the certain parts of the data. For example, print, I'm sorry, print is always there, so list, we can use this box and 0 and another box and then parentheses. Now if we save this and run this, we can see that list hello has been printed from the list, which is the first data. And this is how we can use list for modifying and using. various data types. And yeah, similarly, there is a none type, which means it is usually used to denote a value that is not used. And finally, we also have some slicing topics. This is not a data type, this is a different, but okay. So these are some of the data types that exist within the Python, and thank you.